Gawain's second response to the conclusion of his encounter with the Green Knight is to curse women. In a very typical way in Western culture, he blames women for being attracted to them, in a culture in which they themselves are rewarded primarily for being attractive. What did you think of this, colleagues? Look at lines 24:14 and following. But no wonder if a fool finds his way into folly and be wiped of his wits by womanly guile. It's the way of the world. Adam fell because of a woman, and Solomon because of several. And as for Samson, Delilah was his downfall, and afterwards David was bamboozled by Bathsheba and bore the grief, all wrecked and ruined by their wrongs. If only we could love our ladies without believing their lies. Well, what kind of moral is that? What do you think of that, colleagues? Perhaps here is Gawain's real untrother, his lack of truth, his real lack of chivalry, his real lack of loyalty to the other, his real lack of good faith, in that he blames someone else, a woman. Indeed, incredibly, all women. It's hardly all women's fault, is it, that he accepted the girdle from Bertilac's wife? Here is his untrother. Here is his lack of good faith. He shifts the blame for his action onto other people, and in particular onto women in general. The poet knows perfectly well that he's not reading the Bible very well, Gawain that is, when he says, when the poet has Gawain say that David was bamboozled by Bathsheba. Of course, David was not bamboozled by Bathsheba. If anything, David forced himself upon Bathsheba in an act to which she had no consent. The poet doesn't seem to like that Gawain is using the Bible to shift his own fault, which was fear of death here, fear of untruth, onto the women to whom he's sexually attracted. So what do we think of the moral? Because it sounds like a moral. I mean, it isn't one, is it? But it sounds like one. If only we could love our ladies without believing their lies. It's so obviously not a moral that it seems to me that, again, the poet is criticizing, much as he loves the whole courtly atmosphere he writes about, that very atmosphere. I think he's criticizing what ladies and knights call love. What we want is a new kind of relationship, I think he's saying. A new, ultimately charitable kind of relationship. The relationship he wants less love and more charity. Less what gets called love, less courtly romance and more charity. A love that involves no lies but only truth to each other.